Hello and welcome to today's video, and today I'm going to be talking about something that's been sort of on my mind a lot lately, especially since Cedar Point officially announced their brand new for 2025 roller coaster, Siren's Curse, which is going to be a new generation Vekoma tilt coaster. Now, this makes it the third new Vekoma tilt coaster being built currently around the world, and all three of which still have yet to open, are all scheduled to open at different points next season. Now, there's no confirmed open dates for any of them, other than they could all be next year. Now, the two others that are being built are Circuit Breaker at Circuit of the Americas in Texas, and Iron Rattler at Six Flags Qiddiya in Saudi Arabia. Now, I think the one that's been in the works the longest is Iron Rattler, because that was announced with Six Flags Qiddiya way back in 2019. Circuit Breaker has been in the works for a couple of years, like I think maybe 2 or 3 years roughly. And Siren's Curse was only announced literally like last week. But this begs the question, how come tilt coasters are starting to make a comeback now? Because if you don't know the history of the tilt coaster, up until recently only one was ever built and fully opened. Did I mention that Energylandia were actually at one point planning to build a tilt coaster, but that got scrapped for some strange reason? It never like went vertical or anything, but it got scrapped. I'm not sure why, but at least it was going to be a new generation version as well. I'm not sure why it got scrapped, but anyway, back to what I was saying before. The history of the tilt coaster, only one was ever built that's currently operating. It was the original version, Gravity Max, which, if you've seen like the photos of Gravity Max with like the track tilting over like the lift hill, or it's like it's got like a broken rail track, you will have seen it somewhere. But it's become a very popular roller coaster, the most popular ride in the park, obviously, and it's become very famous like online and like sort of in the media, and mainly because it's the world's currently, apart from a few knockoff tilt coasters built in China, built by Jinma Rides, it's the only Vekoma tilt coaster in the world, and it was built way back in 2002. And since then, apart from the Chinese knockoff Jinma Rides ones, which I mentioned earlier, there's not been any ones built, no like official genuine ones built since Gravity Max in Lipoland in Taiwan, and now they're all of a sudden just starting to come back like well over 20 years later. So why is this, and why didn't they build many after Gravity Max? Now, there's a few reasons why I think they didn't build any for a while after Gravity Max opened. Now, it's mainly to do with the actual ride type itself. It is a very, as you can tell, the tilt coaster is it's very much based on the gimmick of the tilting track at the top of the lift hill, and it's a gimmick that it's very complex. Probably costs a lot more money to run. It's got a lot of moving parts with like the motors and all the hinges keeping the train from rolling down the track before lining it up, and there's a lot of calculations that have to be made as well in order to make sure the track is properly lined up with the start of the drop. And not to mention as well, when the train is released into the drop, it's also got to tilt back into like the horizontal position and line up with the end of the lift hill track, which is just left. So yeah, there's a lot of money put into it. There's a lot of complex calculations and different technology that needs to go into that motor, and all the different elements go into it, and all that just for like one gimmick. Literally one single element. Whereas if you look at something like B&M dive coasters or Gerslava Eurofighters, yes, those are gimmick rides because they're based on, those rides mainly heavily feature on the drop. So B&M dive coasters with the vertical drop, and Gerslava Eurofighters with the beyond vertical drop. But unlike the tilt coaster, those gimmicks, those parts of the ride, those highlight elements, they're not overly complex, and they don't cost probably nearly as much as the tilt coaster does. So that probably explains why only one was ever built up until recently. And that explains why, because like I bet the park themselves, I bet Lipoland will have requested them that Vekoma builds a tilt coaster specifically for them. I bet I'm not sure if it was Vekoma themselves that suggested, let's build a tilt coaster at this park in Taiwan. I bet it was Lipoland themselves that asked Vekoma if they can build this brand new world's first tilt coaster. But then that also makes me wonder how come they've literally only just revitalised the concept. Now I do believe that Vekoma have decided to bring back the concept because of how recognisable and how famous Gravity Max has become, and how much it's done for Lipo Lands since it's opened. Now, I know that obviously since Gravity Max opened and now, a lot of advancements in technology and finances have been made since this ride opened. And now, if you know, another reason why a lot of tilt coasters haven't been built since Gravity Max is capacity as well. So you've got to think, on Gravity Max it takes quite a while to actually get the train in position on the tilt track, and it takes quite a while for the track to actually tilt and line up properly with the drop. I think it takes about 30 seconds in total, and in that time they've got to get another train behind it, loaded up with people and all the restraints locked in and all those things like that. So it's maybe like just made an effect on capacity, probably slightly lower capacity than it would do if it just had a normal drop. But like I said, since then there have been a lot of advancements in the technology. Like if you look at the simulations of the new tilt coasters that are being built, like Siren's Curse or Iron Rattler, and even like if you look at videos of the prototype of the new tilt track that's being built at Vekoma's factory, because there are videos out there of like a prototype tilt track that Vekoma have been testing, the actual time of which the time of which it takes for the track to actually tilt and align the vehicles is much quicker than on the original on Gravity Max. I think it's roughly half the time it takes on Gravity Max for the new tilt track to line up with the drop. So capacity should hopefully be better on the new tilt coasters, and there's also, like I said, the advancements in technology. With the new tilt tracks, they may not necessarily need as many parts in order for the actual the broken rail, the tilt track itself to work, and obviously, like I said earlier, it'll be quicker for the actual track to rotate and for the track itself to be lined up, and therefore quicker for the train to be sent down the drop and for the tilt track to be reset. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, advancements in technology that have been made since Gravity Max opened have allowed it to be easier, more efficient, and probably more cost effective for tilt coasters to become more commonplace. But that's still a thing. Even though there are 3 tilt coasters being built worldwide at the moment, none of them have opened. I think the one that's made the most progress is Iron Rattler. I think that will have finished vertical construction ages ago. It's hard to tell because photos of construction of the whole of Six Flags Qiddiya, much less just one ride, are hard to come by. As for Circuit Breaker, that started vertical construction a few months ago, and how far the progress on that is, I have no idea. Siren's Curse has only just been announced, so that won't have started construction just yet. But I guess the full return of the tilt coaster all depends on how well they are received when they open. Like how well they're received by visitors of the park, enthusiasts, GP, the press and everything. Basically anyone that visits the park and says that it was a really good ride. And if they're well received, then Vekoma will probably start building more tilt coasters. They'll probably make them more commonplace with like their other ride types. And yeah, I do think it all just depends on how well they actually handle this ride concept, and I can't wait to see how that plays out for them. So I want to thank you all very much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment if you would like to see in the next video. Goodbye.